So let's get real for a minute. I have decided that I have conquered crochet. I've been crocheting for a year. I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm working on a commission right now for 4 pairs of mittens. As you can see, I'm crushing them. I'm working on the last one right now with this beautiful yarn. It is called Highland. I got it at my local yarn shop and I love it. I have so many skeins of it on my craft cart right now. I made a dress out of this color. I don't even remember what I used this black one for, but I love this yarn. But I have decided that it is time to use up all of the knitting needles that I inherited from my grandmother. She was an avid knitter. When she passed away, I got all of her crafting supplies and they mean so much to me and I want to make her proud. So we're gonna try. I went out, I found a pattern for a beginner flat knit hat. It's just knit stitches and purl stitches and I think I can handle that. And I got some alpaca Highland DK. So we are going to cake this up and I'm going to start knitting within the next day or so. I just have to finish one more mitten and then I'm free from my holiday commissions and I'm ready to start doing my thing. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to cozy up with Ed over here, who just looks like a little black mass at the moment. He's sleeping on my heated blanket. And see if I can conquer knitting the way I conquered crochet. So yeah, let's do it. So I have my yarn caked up. It came out really well considering I don't have a yarn swift and I love buying yarn in hanks. I've gotten pretty good at figuring out how to cake it up without getting all hairy and scary at the end there like it does sometimes. I just make a big circle out of the hank on the floor and I slowly work it so that it doesn't get tangled and I try to fix any errors as it comes up. So my next step, even though I already have the knitting needles that I need for my project, oh, that's so satisfying. I'm so excited when I learn new things. I have this big bucket. There's a roll in there somewhere. This little box is so cute. This was donated by, this like little case full of needles was donated to me by a family friend. Everything else is my grandma's. I'm going to just go through this and sort out all of these guys, get them in the rolls, see what I'm working with, see if there's any sizes that I'm missing that I might eventually need to get. And I don't think I have any circular needles in here, and that's something that I'm really interested in. So maybe in the upcoming months I might end up grabbing a pair of those. But I'm very excited. So yeah, we're gonna get started on that now. So this is what I'm working with. I definitely think that I am prepared. These are all my Tunisian crochet hooks. I definitely think that I am prepared to start knitting. I have a good amount of supplies. This little guy confused me a bit. I'm not too sure what this does. I'm gonna have to look that up. And to my surprise, I actually found 3 sets of circular needles. There's 2 there, and then I have a packaged set that I put somewhere. So I'm very excited about that because I wanted to dive in and see how those go. I have a good amount of double-ended needles. I have this little box going on with some ones that I don't know the size of, but thankfully I also found this, so I will be able to figure out what size they are. And all in all, I am very, very excited to get started. Like I said, my first project is going to be a flat rimmed hat. And I've read a lot of tutorials that said maybe don't start with something that ambitious, just do dishcloths. but that's the way I like to do it. When I started crocheting, I did like 2 flat lays, and then I immediately went into doing circular projects, different projects. And I know that crocheting is different than knitting, but I feel like to get the real feel for it, like I'm patient, so I have the patience to be able to do something like that. I just need to throw myself in and see how it goes. So I'm gonna check back in a day or two when I finish my other mitten. Hopefully I'll get some time to work on that tonight at work, and then I can throw myself into knitting. I'm really excited about it. I started knitting. It's been fun. I started last night formally because I was writing a paper, one of my final papers, and I just needed a brain break. So I was like, what better brain break than to try to teach myself an entirely new skill? Yeah, so I started knitting. I am left-handed, so I figured I would attack it the same way that I attack crochet. And I looked up a left-handed knitting tutorial. So I started by holding my working in my right hand and working the stitches onto the left, instead of normally you would hold the working in your left hand and work the stitches onto your right. And I just thought that made sense for me because I'm left-handed and I don't know that much about knitting. So I was doing that. I was working 10 stitches. I could get like 4 or 5 rows done. It was going pretty well. But then I started looking at more and more knitting videos, and I started kind of Googling like knitting for left-handed people. And I found out that continental style knitting is better for left-handed people. So you're still knitting normally, because like technically I was knitting backwards. So now, today, I've dedicated my free time between writing that paper to knitting continental style. I've mastered the cast on. I have no problems doing the long tail cast on. I'm comfortable with that. It's a little tight, but like I learned a trick that if you put both your needles together and cast on to both of them and then pull one out, you get a looser cast on. I don't know if I really like that. I don't tend to do that very often because I find that it makes them too loose. But instead of using the yarn that I showed, I have started working with a worsted weight acrylic in an easy color to see and size 5 knitting needles. And in theory, it's going well. Like, I understand how to do the stitches. I understand how to cast on. It's just honestly getting the tension right and holding my needles that I'm still having a little bit of problem with. Like, I would find that when I'm doing my stitches, I would cast on 10, I'd get to about 5 or 6, and I would be holding the needles too far apart, so there would be like a long thread between the two. If you knit, that probably makes sense to you, and you're like, oh yeah, I know what you're doing wrong. But I don't knit, so I don't really know like what I'm doing wrong. Because when I try to hold the needles closer together the whole time, I find that it gets very tight. So I'm just going to take some time and practice a little bit more, and we're going to see how it goes. But also, I wanted to highlight something really exciting that I got in the past week or so. I finally got a crafting cart, and I love it. I cannot sing high enough praises for my crafting cart, so I just wanted to show it off for a second because I'm very proud of it. So this is my baby. I love her. She's beautiful. I customized her with my Cricut. I really wanted somewhere that I could work with my Cricut, not have to put it on the table. Up here I have all my vinyl, I have all my Cricut supplies, I have the power cord, everything. Then I have my crochet tools down here, which one day I'm hopefully gonna have to change to fiber arts tools because I'm gonna figure out how to knit. And then down there I have yarn for projects that I'm actively working on. That is a cardigan for my fiance, and those are gonna be hats for family for Christmas. So this is my craft cart. I got it from Michael's for like $50. And I cannot sing high enough praises for this little guy. I constantly have it pulled up next to the couch, working on it. Okay, so something definitely went wrong that row. I struggled a lot more, and for some reason I ended up with 12 stitches instead of 10, and there's 2 in here that are just a mess. So I don't really know what I did. This is usually the part where I take it off and try again. We are making do. So I just did a short tail. We're going to do another long tail cast on right now. I'm definitely going to sign up for knitting classes at my local yarn store. My only problem is that at the closest yarn store to me, I can't take classes until January, and I would like to be knitting more than this by January. So unless I can book a private lesson, I am going to have to look elsewhere. We're starting to get our groove. So this is more or less where I'm at. It's still fun. I'm not getting frustrated with myself at all. Every time I mess up, that's all it is. It's just a little accident, and it's nothing that can't be fixed. I'm really excited to be able to make nice knits. I'm excited to work on circular needles. I'm excited to work on double points. I've seen really cool knitting needles like the cubics that are like square. Like there's just so much out there in the world of knitting that I want to be a part of. So I'm really determined. But right now it feels like I am all thumbs. I probably look so focused, which I am. I'm losing loops. I'm losing loops. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I found the loops. I found them. We're gonna make it to the end of this row. Believe in me, please. And I'm really sorry if you're a knitter and you're watching this. I hope that this is just bringing up memories of when you learned how to knit. And if you have any advice for me on like resources or things that I can do better, I would love to hear it because I am struggling. My camera storage was full and it stopped recording. But basically, I finished that row. Not bad. But there is, like, this stitch is too loose at the end, and the stitch 2 from the end, my tension starts to go a little wonky. So I need to figure that out. I'm gonna go watch more tutorials. My problem really with knitting on the way that I learned how to crochet versus the way that I learned how to crochet is that when I learned how to crochet, I used a lot of TikTok tutorials, which sounds ridiculous, but it worked so well for me. And it was like, I saw it, and then I did it. And then I saw it, and then I did it. And I understood what I was seeing. And with knitting, I feel like I understand what I'm seeing, but I can't get that tension part down without more practice. So I know that I just have to keep practicing, but it's just not coming as fast as I'd like it to. And I sound like a brat because I only started last night. And realistically, I'm doing a good job. But I just want to be doing better already. I bit off more than I could chew. At the start of this, I was like, I'm gonna do a hat pattern right away. I didn't do that with crochet. I made like a couple flat lays and like a triangle before I did anything. So this should be no different. I just need to remind myself to have patience, be kind to myself, and keep celebrating these little wins. Like getting 10 stitches cast on and then 10 stitches knit. And the tension will come with time. I know I struggled with tension when I was crocheting too, but I had people in my life that crocheted that I could bother about it and be like, yo, help me. So this afternoon I'm gonna have to look into some knitting classes and see what I can pull together because I really want to be good at this. It's something that I'm enjoying so far, and we're gonna see where it takes me. Stay tuned. Maybe I'll pop back in with an update one day, and I'll be knitting as fast as the wind. That would be nice.